It's the 1950s, and excitement for archaeology is at an all-time high. A colleague of yours, Kowalski, went down to Honduras to search out a mythical Mayan temple. Several months have passed, and no one has heard from Kowalski since. Your team has been sent out to track his whereabouts and see exactly what it was that Kowalski was onto. This is where your story begins. So just bear with me as I try to explain the whole thought process that went behind this and how everything is combined. It's a little confusing to try to break it down, but I think I figured it out. So here's the overview of the finished room. So there's going to be a couple different parts to this room. So we're going to start off with the camp itself. Also, in the process of this video, obviously feel free to pause at any time and read what's on the screen because there's going to be a lot happening. So starting off, like I said, with this campsite, there are three things that you're going to find in this. There is a Bible, which we're referencing, like I said, Matthew 6, a flashlight, and both of those are in the suitcase. Then as well as this journal, there's blood in it, there's a lot happening, but this is going to be a way to figure out a lot of different clues. It breaks down a lot of symbols. It's a very helpful little tool. So throughout this escape room, you're going to see a lot of these symbols and different references, which I'll try to put up on the screen as best as I possibly can. Like I said, there's different parts to this entire escape room. So there are 4 different rooms. There's the campsite, the tunnel, the treasury room, and then this room, which is like the altar type room. Our first clue is this box, and it matches up with Matthew 6:3. There's a little symbol that matches a symbol that is on a magnet that is inside another box on this shelf here. So by using the little clues on the symbol and then also by referencing Matthew 6:3, you're able to get this washer out that will be used later on. So this is just another overview of that room itself. There's lots of little hidden clues all over the place. There are these little wooden dowels in this random vase just over here, and as well as lots of other clues. So this end shelf, Logan actually put hinges on and you're able to move it. Then once you kneel down, you're able to find this really cool knife that's actually dull. My little brother actually made it with his forge. In order to open up this little door, you have to put that knife at the bottom and that washer, which opens up the door to reveal another clue. We originally were going to use the tablet that I had made, but he thought it was actually easier to use this symbol instead. This clue is actually going to be used later on for the sundials. Continuing on in this altar type room, there's this water basin, and it corresponds with this verse. We're gonna get our little Gru pizza man, that's what people have been calling him. This little guy matches with this piece of wood glass thing that is found on the shelf, and once you wash his face, it's going to reveal another little clue. Now we're going to move on to this mask. If you look into the notes, it will show what to do next. This is one of the steps to open the really big door. So there's 2 parts to opening the big door. There was the eyeball thing, and now on the side of the door, there's these little symbols. And these symbols correlate with this verse here. So we got eat, drink, and wear, which you shove the wooden dowels into, and that will unlock the big door. There is a weight on the back door, which makes it slide open automatically. Once we open up this big door, we're entering into the tunnel. As soon as you enter it, we're going to see this one sundial, which is just a distraction from the other one. Then we follow those stairs down, and bam, there's Kowalski. Under his arm here is a map holder thing. I don't really know what to call it. Anyways, it has a scroll inside of it, as well as the missing page from one of his notes in the bag. To find the next clue, we're going to head back up behind this door. There's a symbol here that goes with the pizza guy like I was talking about beforehand. So if you stand behind the door, there's all these keys, and above each one of these keys is a number. These normally glow, but I couldn't get it to pick up on camera. These correspond with the snake on the stairs, and it's going to show you which key to grab and in which order you're going to use those keys, because you can see these little symbols on the snake shows that. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if it does or not, but that's what we got. There's a big snake on the wall here just to show that these two different areas connect. This is a pretty finicky little one, but it's pretty cool once we get it open and everything. So in behind this mini door is these strings with symbols above it, and that is going to help us open up this very last door to lead us into the treasury room. So we hold up this little piece of wood, and it's going to match up with the face at the top symbol, and it's going to show which symbol to use, and that's going to show which strings to pull, if that makes any sense. This little verse here and this little note shows that they have the right sundial, which is the top one. Once those strings are pulled, it unlatches the door, and then you gotta push on it a little bit, but then it opens up to the treasury room, and that is the end of the escape room. So like I said, we ended up putting my tablet on the treasury room area, and then as well as Logan ordered some pretty cool little coins off Amazon. Then the rest of these things we just ended up getting from the thrift store and just spray painting it gold to make it look kind of cool. Every year for our church, our youth pastor Logan makes an escape room for everyone to try out. This year he asked me to help out, and I decided I wanted to document this little journey. So we decided to go with like a Mayan type theme, and then also tie in Matthew 6 as well into it, because that is what they're kind of learning for youth this semester, I guess. So as well as that, we took some inspiration from some different movies, and we just kind of went for it. Originally, when I first started editing this video, I really wanted to put this portion of the video in first and then show you guys the grand reveal at the end. I was talking to my dad about it, and he was saying that that's going to give away all sorts of things if we do it that way, and I was like, no, that's so true. So we're doing it kind of backwards here. So here I'm just giving you guys an overview of the portion of our church that we are using for this escape room. And when I'm giving you guys this overview, at this point we had already put a couple weeks of work into this escape room, and it literally doesn't even look like it. So maybe it's a good thing I didn't start right from the beginning. Logan spent a lot of time working on this giant door that slides. I was working on decorating it, and obviously, yeah, he figured out all the mechanics of it. So we were painting it, and then I realized, oh, that was really stupid to paint that, because we were just going to cover it full, like, with a bunch of foam anyways. And then I started painting it again afterwards, forgetting that we were covering it again. So I did that twice. So throughout this whole thing, obviously Logan was the brains of the operation. I didn't really do too much at all with the puzzles, unless if he needed me to make something for one of the puzzles, and then I just designed it and decorated it. So he had to make two doors, one at the top here and then one at the bottom, which unlatches, and we were testing it out here. So obviously this one's made out of pallets, and then we just covered it with cardboard and foam afterwards. Here I'm just placing up a bunch of poster board to make the altar area nice and black, and so it didn't look like a storage room. So I decided to just randomly film certain parts of what I was doing. So I am making the two big snakes for this. So I tried to cover up some of those like indents, but it didn't really work super well. Then I painted the whole thing, and then we had these like cool stencils or whatever that I ended up going over everything with, really messy, and I think they turned out pretty cool like that. So here is a random tube thing that actually held a map in it originally, and then we ended up putting that scroll in it later on. So here I'm just paper macheing it so then it gets a little bit of ribbliness, and then that way I can go later on with the paint and go over it and make it look more old than it is. To make these masks, I ended up finding just those random paper masks at the dollar store, and then using cardboard and hot glue and painting it. So here's my little cool tablet that I really like and I spent a lot of time on, but we didn't end up using it, but I still think it looks kind of cool. For the sundials, I just randomly drew out a bunch of things, went over it with hot glue and then paint, and did that for the two different ones that I had made. By the end of making this, I was so sick of seeing symbols, like I was done with it. Here are some more symbols that I made out of hot glue and then end up painting. I love the sound of that stuff, it just sounds so cool. Anyways, so here I'm just gluing that snake onto the stairs, and then these rocks that I was making out of that foam stuff just onto this wall so it didn't look like crap. I ended up using that weird little wire melty foam tool thing so much that I got so sick of the smell of it, and I kind of got high off some of the fumes. It was kind of bad, but we made it through, and I think it looks really cool. Here we were just gluing that top sundial up onto the roof. It kind of was a little bit difficult to do, so it took a little bit of effort, but we ended up getting it up there. We used hot glue, which probably wasn't the best idea, but we used it. There was also a lot of spray painting involved in this project, just random stuff from the thrift store and just other random things. Then I'm going to make the sign, the success sign, so I'm just taking some hot water and putting tea bags in it and then just letting that soak for a bit and then putting my paper in there for it to soak. Apparently you're supposed to dab the tea bags onto the paper, but I just used this and I felt like it worked good enough that way. A lot of these projects I was able to work on at home, which was kind of nice, and then for a couple evenings and a couple days that I went into the church itself and was setting things up. So here are just a couple random time lapses of us putting everything together at the very end here. Something else that was kind of cool that we had going on in the background was random jungle noises, and it kind of, I don't know, I feel like it added a lot to it and a lot of people liked it. And then with their last couple groups, Logan got the Indiana Jones theme song to be playing once they succeeded in escaping the escape room, I guess. So here we're just making the tent. I had to think a little bit on how to do this because I thought it was really easy, and then I had to think about it more in my head, but we ended up getting it. It ended up being a two-man job, so I stood there as he wrapped it for a million years, and that got a little old, but we finally wrapped it. It actually stayed pretty sturdy for the most part. We had one group go through, and they were really rough on the room, but it didn't collapse, so we were pretty good. This took about 6 to 8 weeks to complete the entire escape room of us, starting like the thinking process of it to completing it itself. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm glad we did it. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of frustrating parts to it, definitely, but it was a lot of fun also to make, and just to look back at this video and how much work went into it, it's crazy to think about it. We ended up taking some pictures at the end with our little success sign, and I think it turned out kind of cute. So I hope you all like this video, because I really do. Thanks for watching. Bye.